Today we are going to interview Orest Smovzh, a violinist I would like to have as a mentor. He had performed as a soloist and chamber musician throughout Europe and had won several competitions. The first question I'm going to ask is, what do you think of your role or character between the audience and the composer you performed?
Thank you for the question. It's rather complicated, but as a musicians, here we are kind of like an intermediate, intermediate person, intermediate artist, intermediate object between a composer and a listener. We At the same time we need to try to fully understand what was composer's intention and what composer's intention works in our personal, personal interpretation or our personal world, and how composers and ours intention we can bring to the listener. Personally, for me, one of the most important things as a performer, for me, it's to introduce less known composers or new music or less known pieces to the listeners. So in a way, one of the things I think as an artist I need to do is to educate my audience in a respectful manner, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, as you know that the quote, where words fail, music speaks, is there something you really want to speak through your instrument?
Of course, it's not something particular or something objective that you can say or you can write on paper, because after all, music is a very abstract art, maybe the most abstract art. That's why it's not completely correct to think what is the music about or what are you playing about, because it's not as particular, it's not as real. But nevertheless, it depends on the piece. Sometimes it depends on the day. It depends on the place you play it. Sometimes it's just very personal memories or personal opinions personal emotions that you express in the music you play, or any particular intentions of composer that you assume composer had. Yeah, I would say that.
Thank you. So, what are your biggest strengths as well as your biggest fear in the pursuing of your music career?
Strength. Well, I'm generally a humble person. It's difficult to talk about strengths, but I was always growing up in a musical environment, so maybe that's why I believe I have a certain natural intuition for music. I don't try to make it more interesting than it is or make it not what it is. I think I have a natural way of approaching music. Of course, it's always difficult to get it through to the listener. But anyway, the biggest fear, I think, it's not explore enough possibilities. It's to have talent for something, but not really explore it, not really develop it. So I think this is my biggest fear.
Okay, thank you. So, what keeps you motivated and inspired for the lifelong relationship with music?
As I said, because I grew up in a musical environment, I always had a relationship with music. So I can't really imagine myself not being a musician or being not in the musical world. That's why, all of my interests, all of my, well, maybe it's not a really correct word, but all of my artistic fantasies, everything I want to achieve, it has something to do with music. That's why, if I woke up in the morning, I know what I want to do today or in 1 month, or what I would hopefully like to do in a year or 10 years. So it kind of motivates, yeah.
Thank you. So, what are the biggest challenges you have faced so far?
The biggest challenge, well, people say that being a musician is a unique in a way because there's always a better musician around. There's always someone who's better. But I think the biggest challenge is that actually there's an always better image of better yourself. The biggest challenge is how to improve yourself every day, how to become better. It seems like a simple thing, but actually I think that's the most difficult, because there's always an image of what we would like to be, how well we would like to play. And I would say that it's actually, even though it's actually unreachable, that level, but just trying, the effort, that's what counts. So I would say that, yeah, making yourself better every day, that's the biggest challenge.
Okay. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.